been talking about the hero's journey, and one of my listeners asked me what that was. So it's time that I talked about that for those who don't know. And even if you're familiar with it, give the podcast a listen anyway. I may say something that you hear in a different way that opens up a new understanding. So the hero's journey was identified by Joseph Campbell as the stages that all great myths go through. It's the outline for making a great story. So lots of writers use it. I'm going to be talking about how the hero's journey today helps you identify the stages because it's your life story. Wouldn't knowing what stage you're in be helpful? Sure, right? Knowing where you are helps tremendously in knowing what comes next. Everything always goes from beginning to middle to end. If you're not letting go when you're at the end, that's not going to work out so well, is it? And yet, people do it all the time. Before I get to that, though, I want to share that at least 4 times in the last month, someone has said to me, was that podcast about me? The answer is always no. But if it speaks to you, then yes. When we talk about themes along the hero's journey to becoming conscious beings, there are a lot of universal experiences. And if you see yourself in what I'm talking about, that's fantastic. I appreciate you sharing that because it lets me know that I'm on the right track. Synchronicity is a wonderful thing. And knowing the stages of the hero's journey gives you that life map, and it always starts in the ordinary world. This is what I know. This is life as usual. Most people have seen The Wizard of Oz, so I'm going to use that as our example today. And that story starts off with Dorothy living in Kansas with her aunt and uncle. Kind of drab, dull, life that's full of responsibilities, and the movie shows that because it's filmed in black and white. Then the mean neighbor comes by, and she's the type of person who is disappointed way too much in life and lives to take it out on other people. Well, Dorothy's dog, Toto, has bitten the neighbor, and Miss Gulch, she got a sheriff order to take the dog, and she rides off with Toto in the basket on her bike. And Toto jumps out, comes back to Dorothy, and now Dorothy feels like she has to protect Toto, so she decides to run away. That is her call to adventure. The call to adventure is when something happens and you say, hey, buddy, you're asleep. Wake up. Do something different. Wake up. In Star Wars, Luke's call to adventure is when he heard Princess Leia's distress call. Obi-Wan Kenobi tells him he has to come with him to Alderaan to learn the ways of the Force and help fight the Empire. In The Matrix, Neo's call starts with the message, follow the white rabbit, which eventually takes him to Morpheus, who offers him the choice of taking the red pill to reveal the truth about reality or the blue pill and everything stays the same. In The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, Frodo Baggins learns that the ring his uncle left him is the One Ring of Sauron. And Gandalf tells him he has to leave the only life he's ever known to take the ring to Rivendell. So what would you do if someone came up to you with some outlandish request? You'd probably say, dude, you're out of your mind, right? Well, that's what most people do. And that's what Dorothy did. After her impulsive run away from home, she has second thoughts and heads back home. Only she's in Kansas, and that's Tornado Alley. As luck would have it, a tornado comes out of nowhere. Her aunt and uncle are in the cellar, but Dorothy is in the house. And the tornado picks her up and sets her down in Oz. That takes us to the next stage of the journey, meeting with the mentor. So Dorothy is in a strange land full of little people, and a beautiful witch tells her that her house has landed on the Wicked Witch of the East, killing her. Then that witch's sister, the Wicked Witch of the West, shows up wanting her sister's ruby slippers. But Glinda, the good witch, magically transports the shoes onto Dorothy's feet. The Wicked Witch of the West vows to have revenge to get the shoes back, but since she has no power in Munchkin Land, her revenge will have to wait. In the meantime, Glinda tells Dorothy to follow the yellow brick road to Emerald City, where the Wizard of Oz is going to help her get back home. So that's pretty much what the mentor does. They point you in the right direction. They don't do it for you. They don't tell you what to do because this is your adventure. You have to make the choices. You get to bear the consequences for your choices as well. And I think this is why so many people don't set off. They want to know the outcome before they take steps. They want guarantee. They want answers. They want to know what's going to happen next. And they spend a lot of time researching, or they sit at the feet of a guru for years rather than doing the work. We all have many heroes' journeys in our lifetimes. And one could be navigating a marriage or a career. One could be dealing with the death of a loved one. But ultimately, the big one is your life. Don't be a bench warmer. Go out there and live it. Whatever your life ends up being, be here for it. If you don't like it, change it. But at least don't sleep through it. And get a mentor. Mr. Miyagi from The Karate Kid is a mentor. He didn't just teach him karate. He taught him skills that prepared him for his inner battles as well. Hamish Abernathy from Hunger Games is a mentor for Katniss and Peeta. He starts out gruff and cynical, but he eventually offers strategic advice and emotional support that help them to survive. So our mentor may not be who we'd wish. They may not give us what we want, but they give us what we need. They prepare us for crossing the threshold from the known world to the unknown, which is the next phase. And this happens when Dorothy gets on the yellow brick road and starts walking. Now you might say, well, didn't a tornado take her from the known world to the unknown world? Technically, yes. But none of that was done under Dorothy's power. All that happened to her, and crossing the threshold is something that we have to choose. Lots of people don't ever do this. They hover nearby, they flirt with it, but they never commit because the unknown's scary and they want safety. But if you never leave the safety of the known, it's a failure to launch. It's like the quote from John A. Shedd, "A ship in harbor is safe, but that's not what ships are built for." The next stop on the journey is tests, allies, and enemies. I have a podcast here on allies and one also on enemies. You might want to check those out. And in The Wizard of Oz, we know that Dorothy meets the Scarecrow, Tin Man, and Cowardly Lion, all of whom think that there's something important lacking in them, and they want to go see the Wizard of Oz to get it. So they join up with Dorothy, and they all become friends. The enemy is the Wicked Witch of the West. The tests are the things like the poppy fields, the flying monkeys, magical threads, and the dark forest. So without tests, allies, and enemies, there'd be no story. If I walked outside of my house to the store and came back a few minutes later with whatever I set out for, that's not an adventure. I didn't do anything. I didn't grow. That's a big fat so what moment that I wouldn't even mention to anybody. If I stepped outside my door and a sinkhole opened up, now that's a story. If I went to the store clerk and there was an alien standing there, that's a question mark. Well, what do I do now? So everybody says they want to be comfortable, but do you really? Do you want an uneventful life? How do you know what you value if it's never tested? How do you know what your character is if it's never tested? The allies, we all need allies. We all have to make our own choices and take responsibility for what we choose, but we don't have to do it alone. I mean, imagine that in all the big moments of your life, you're alone. There would be nobody there who's been there and who knows what you did. It's one thing to read about an event in a social media post. It's quite another to have lived it with the person in the story. This is why I think my spiritual tours are so memorable. You go away, have this incredible magical experience, and most of us don't take pictures or tell anyone because it's an inner transformation that really can't be shared in words. And only people who were there, who went through it with you, could ever really understand. And that's why we need our sidekicks. The movie Stand By Me is a rite of passage movie because it was something that the boys went through together. If it was a story of one boy, he would have been just a terrifying day. But because they were all together, it was transformative. After tests, allies, and enemies comes the approach. And this is where Dorothy and the gang finally reach the Emerald City. The wizard says he will help if they get him the Wicked Witch of the West broomstick. This is about as impossible a task as could ever be asked, but they have no choice but to try. They've all come so far that they can't stop now. And this step makes for great movies because it heightens the tension. But when it's your life, you're like, are you serious? You mean to tell me I'm not done yet? I've done the flying monkeys, the dark forest, the poppy field, and I'm still not there. And this is where lots of people give up. And that's why it pays to know the cycle of events. It's always darkest before the dawn. And you're almost through the dark night of the soul, so keep on going. The next stage is the ordeal, or you can call this the big boss fight if you're into video games. You're about to level up, but you have to clear this one last fight. And when I say level up, I mean transform. This is a transformative event that crosses the threshold from death to rebirth. If you succeed in this stage, you're not who you were. You're a champion. You go from caterpillar to butterfly, and you know it. In The Wizard of Oz, this is when Dorothy is caught by the flying monkeys and taken to the witch's castle. The witch can't hurt her because the ruby slippers protect Dorothy. Toto leads the Scarecrow, Tin Man, and Lion to the castle to free Dorothy. The witch and the flying monkeys corner them. The witch can't hurt Dorothy, but she can't hurt the others, so she sets the Scarecrow on fire. And Dorothy throws water on the Scarecrow to put him out, but the water lands on the witch and kills her. The witch just melts away. So did you see Fatal Attraction? There's a big fight at the end between Glenn Close and Michael Douglas, and he thinks he's killed her, but she comes back for one more round. And when that happens, people were shocked. It's become so commonplace now in movies that you never expect the bad guy is dead until he's been killed twice. So remember this on your hero's journey. First battle probably isn't the end of the war, so don't put your feet up too soon. Okay, so once Dorothy kills the witch guard gives Dorothy the broomstick, and they take it to the wizard to get the reward. So that's the next step. This stage is also referred to as the treasure. And when you get what you came for and reach your goal, you've got the treasure. In Raiders of the Lost Ark, the treasure stage is when Indiana Jones retrieves the Ark of the Covenant. He doesn't keep it, but that was the successful completion of his quest. In Moana, the treasure stage is when Moana restores the heart of Te Fiti revives her island, the ocean is healed, and Moana is recognized as a wayfarer and leader. So Moana receives growth and recognition. The community receives restoration. But let's look at one more example, because not all heroes' journeys end with you getting what you want. In The Dark Knight, Batman defeats Joker and ends the chaos, but the Joker has corrupted Harvey Dent and turns him into the vengeful Two-Face. Instead of triumph, Batman ends up taking the fall for Dent's crimes to preserve public faith in him. So his reward is exile, not glory. He sacrifices his personal honor for the greater good. So not all victories can feel like success. All stories don't have a happy ending, even if you do the right thing. The hero's journey is not a guarantee of success or happiness. It's just your opportunity to take your shot. You don't know how things are going to end up. You have no idea what challenges you're going to face or if you have the strength and resources to meet them. It's called a hero's adventure because it assumes you're victorious, but sometimes the hero doesn't win. In 300, they're heroes because they fought to the last man. It's based on the true story of the Battle of Thermopylae. Xerxes brought an army of about 300,000 Persians to Greece, telling them to submit or be slaughtered. King Leonidas says, no way, but he can't get any support to fight the Persians. So he goes with 299 Spartans to the pass at Thermopylae and holds off the Persians for 3 days before the Spartans are betrayed, giving the Persians the intel to surround them. So up in Thermopylae, there's a huge statue today of King Leonidas there. And all Greeks know that story 3,000 years later because the Spartan soldiers did the impossible. So even if you're defeated, how you play the game matters. Go down with honor, with integrity, and doing what you believe is right. If you walk away with your dignity and growth, you're still a winner. Now, a lot of movies end there, and I think it's a pity because getting the girl is not the end of the hero's journey. The next stage is the road back. We crossed from the known world to the unknown world. Now we're coming back. For Dorothy, this is when the wizard has been discovered to be a fraud. So he's not a wizard at all. He's a charlatan who, like Dorothy, is from Kansas. What are the odds, right? So he got to Oz in a hot air balloon and offers to take Dorothy back. And just as they're ready to go, Toto jumps out of the balloon and Dorothy goes after him. The balloon lifts off without them, and now she's stuck again. So even though the road back for Dorothy means returning home, it doesn't always mean physically returning home. For example, in the movie Gladiator, the road back for Maximus starts after defeating Commodus in the arena. Maximus was stabbed in the guts before the fight even started, so he's half in the other world already. And at the end of the fight, his return home was a return to his murdered wife and son who were waiting for him in the other world. So his return is a return to the place of peace rather than fighting that he's been doing since Commodus started hunting him. And I want you to know the terrain, but I don't want you to think that it only looks one way. So the outcome of each stage depends on the choices that you make. Let's go back to Dorothy because she is alive and is returning to a physical home. After the road backstage, we have resurrection. If our previous self died in the ordeal phase, this is the stage where the transformation into our new self is complete. It may involve an inner transformation. It's probably a higher stakes game where the hero proves to himself or others that he has learned something and can apply it. And this makes them a new person. So resurrection for Dorothy happens when Glinda tells her that she has always had the power to return home by clicking her heels 3 times and saying there's no place like home. Glinda told her rather than Dorothy figuring out for herself, but Dorothy does get it. She realizes that the power comes from her, not the words, not the shoes. I think a better example of resurrection is The Lion King, when Simba returns to Pride Rock to confront Scar. And he accepts his role as king, overcomes the guilt and shame over his past, defeats his uncle, and reclaims his birthright and destiny. So for you Matrix fans, when Neo is killed by Agent Smith, he's brought back by Trinity's love and his belief in himself. This resurrects the one who is now fully awakened and capable of bending the Matrix to his will. All of this can only happen because of the things that came before. Nobody wakes up as a character capable of that type of transformation without being battle tested. So we may not like our hardships, but if we allow them to teach us and strengthen us, they can become stair steps on our road to personal greatness. And I don't mean that we all have to be like Leonidas. This is a process that occurs when we become adults. That's a heroic process that a lot of people haven't accomplished. There are memes about how I just can't adult today. Lots of people don't adult on any day. So don't underestimate the power of struggle. And that leads us to the last stage, which is returning with the elixir. The hero's journey isn't just for you, and your life isn't just about you. What you gain, you share so that everyone can benefit. And that's what is the return of the elixir is all about. If you are your full true self, the community has to benefit from that. So whether you're a gardener, growing great food or flowers, or a truck driver getting things from place to place on time, you do what you do and the world benefits. When Dorothy left Kansas, she was yearning for someplace different that was happy and trouble-free. When she got back, she was appreciative of her home, her life, her family and friends. She knew herself better and her place, and that made her more grateful and grounded. In Finding Nemo, Marlin sets out as an overprotective father who was afraid of the unknown. And his journey of finding Nemo gave him courage, trust, and openness. His returning with the elixir was that he was able to pass that along to his child. And this heals their relationship and allows Nemo to be free to be himself. In Lord of the Rings, Frodo returns to the Shire after destroying the One Ring, and the Shire is the same, but he's deeply changed. I think this is really an important thing to understand. When you do experience something that changes you, it changes you. Other people won't understand. They may not see the change. They might not understand the change. They might not even realize that it happened. So they may treat you like it didn't happen. And they might not appreciate it either. And Frodo brought back peace for Middle Earth in the movie. And the Shire folk weren't even aware that they were under threat. So the Shire is untouched, but he's so different that he can't live there anymore because except for Sam, Merry, and Pippin, who have went on this journey with them, they have no idea what he endured, what he sacrificed, and what it cost him. And this podcast exists to help people on their own personal hero's journey get started, make mindful choices along the road, and have the support along the way because it's hard. Trying to do it alone is isolating and maybe terrifying. And if you don't know the way, it makes it a lot harder. When you do know about the hero's journey, it can give you context to what you're experiencing as well. And lots of us have had strange or transformative experiences that you can't explain. And these are not random, meaningless events. They're part of your story. They're part of making you. So rather than asking, why is this happening to me? You might ask, where am I on this hero's journey? Another thing, from the beginning, Fantasia asks you to be open-minded because you're going to encounter things in your hero's journey that may have looked impossible or mystical. Look at these legendary stories. They have magical, mystical elements too. Cinderella has a fairy godmother. Maybe you'd like to ask for help from the angels or whatever you believe in. When we think of adrenaline junkies and people who search for adventure, they often do that to escape life. The hero's journey is an invitation to embody it and live it mindfully. It encourages integration, not compartmentalization or escapism. So for me, it's about accepting all parts of life, the good, the bad, the dark, and the light. My understanding of the hero's journey is that it's a yearning for wholeness that is baked into the process. And you can't get through the whole cycle without confronting and accepting your shadow. And that happens with integration. A lot of people hate their life. They want change. They want to be someone else. They look around and see darkness and oppressive forces controlling things. The hero's journey changes that by putting you in the driver's seat. You're the hero, not the supporting character, an extra, or a victim. It gives meaning to what happens. And I don't think this is made up. It's just a reframe. I think the hero's journey is a more accurate version of all our lives that can take us out of the story that we tell ourselves. All this is easier said than done, so I'm going to give you some tips, okay? So the first one is to be mindful. If you're not paying attention, you may not notice that you're not happy. You may accept things as they are rather than doing something to change them. To have a regular check-in, it's where you ask yourself what's working and what's not. And if you're always making incremental changes, you're not going to need a big, huge, life-changing challenge to get you rebalanced. Being mindful is also going to help you to see when the call comes. So notice restlessness or longing. These are signals, not problems. Notice synchronicities. These are promptings from your soul. Don't just look for the sign, acknowledge it as a sign. And lots of people talk themselves out of things because they think they're just coincidences or they're exaggerating. So let it be the call that it is. If you have resistance, notice your resistance. If you didn't have any resistance, I'd wonder if you're being discriminating enough. So resistance is part of the process. Talk it out. Be thoughtful and then act. Ask for guidance. Help is always available if we're open to receiving it. Don't expect it to look the way that you think about it in your dreams. If you do, you might miss it. So read stories. You will see what I'm talking about. Commit. Create a ritual to show that you have committed. Throw down the gauntlets, sell the house, burn the boat, say goodbye. If you leave yourself an out, it's easy to take it. Now, some people see obstacles as punishments. It's like fate did that or karma did that. No, they're lessons to strengthen you. So seeing challenges that way cuts them down to size. And lean into your relationships. This is your hero's journey, but you can share it with others. You don't have to do it all alone. So think of it like a workout buddy. You've got to lift the weights, but having someone else there keeps you motivated and accountable. Now, people bag out when they get close to getting what they want. Be aware that this is a normal fear. Marianne Williamson said, our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. So imagine that so that when you touch that power, it's not so frightening. When you get to the big boss fight, allow your old self to die. I know that that's a scary thing too. It's ego. You can't know how amazing you can be until you let go of your old self. And I mentally rehearsed that. The first time I contemplated that, it scared the heck out of me. I was 12. It gets easier. When you get what you came for, whether or not it's what you wanted, acknowledge that you earned it. Lots of people do amazing things over and over to earn their father's love. We all know those people, right? When you know what you've done, that will be enough, and all the chasing of approval can stop. So what I'm saying is integrate it. Give yourself some space to digest it all and be who you have become. Transformation is fragile. If you don't know you're different, no one else will either. The road back may feel disorienting. Things don't fit the way they used to because you've changed. Resist the desire to go back to old ways. It's like when you go away to college and then you come home on a visit and your parents want to treat you like the little kid who left. You're not that kid anymore. You're going to be tested. When you are, show up as a new person, not the old one. That might mean that you don't fit in anymore. It could mean losing friends, your reputation, money, your old identity. That's what the journey calls for sometimes. Then stay humble. You're going to do this over and over. It's not a one-time thing. You did something miraculous, but other people do too. You're not more or less than the next guy. So check the ego. Be proud, confident, and know who you are without lording it over anyone else. You're meant to use what you gain in service to others, and you can't do that if you're standing above them. So what did I miss? Sure, there are tons of things I could have said. So if you've been through a hero's journey and learned something that really helped you out, return with the Elixir and share it. Make it easier on the next person. And if you'd like some allies on your hero's journey, join my free group. That's what we do. We're all on the hero's journey, so why not do it together? Links in the show notes. Thanks for listening, guys. See you next week.
Make sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes or Spotify so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, why not show your love with a review? Thanks. See you next week.